My name is Cyrus, and I've now been a care assistant at one of the most renowned children's hospitals in the country for nearly 5 years. Working here has been a rewarding experience overall. The pay is decent, and I have great relationships with my coworkers. Everything about the hospital is nearly perfect, except for one unsettling aspect: the hospital clown, Mr. Jingles. Strange name, isn't it? Apparently, he roams the hospital and visits sick kids. I remember the first time I heard about Mr. Jingles. It was during my orientation at the Children's Hospital, a place I had joined as a care assistant with dreams of making a difference in the lives of young patients. The hospital was a hub of hope and healing, but it had a peculiar legend shrouding its corridors. The legend of Mr. Jingles, the mysterious hospital clown. The tale was whispered among the staff, shared in hushed tones, as if it were a forbidden secret. According to the story, Mr. Jingles was no ordinary clown. He would appear unannounced, bringing laughter and joy to the young patients, leaving smiles in his wake. But there was something unnerving about him. The adults never saw him. Only the children could feel his presence, hear his laughter, and witness his playful antics. When my colleagues mentioned him to me, I thought they were just teasing me because I was the new person on the team. That's usually how it goes. The newbie is the butt of all the jokes. I dismissed it as a harmless, albeit eerie, hospital myth. My colleagues often spoke about Mr. Jingles as if he were a friendly ghost, a presence that brought comfort to the little ones in their time of need. In my 3rd week at the hospital, I was diligently performing the morning checkup on every patient on the floor. As I entered Kyle's room, I was surprised to find him wide awake and wearing a smile that stretched from ear to ear. "Good morning. Why are you up so early?" I inquired, genuinely puzzled. Kyle's eyes twinkled with mischief. "The clown came to me last night," he said, his voice filled with excitement. "He was hilarious. His pants fell when he entered the room, and he ended up juggling balls while duck-walking on my bed. He couldn't pull his pants back up." Kyle's description of the night's events left me incredulous. I recalled the conversations with my colleagues about Mr. Jingles, the clown, and thought that they might have orchestrated an elaborate prank involving this young patient. "Nah, this has gone too far," I muttered, feeling a mix of irritation and confusion. I quickly finished the checkup and headed to confront my coworkers. Among them was Mackenzie, a seasoned staff member who had been working at the hospital for 14 years. She was the one who had initially told me about the clown, and I was convinced she was behind the prank. I approached her table in the lunchroom, frustration evident in my voice. "Okay, you need to stop this prank. It's gone on for too long, and it isn't funny anymore," I said, trying to maintain my composure. Her puzzled expression only fueled my frustration. "What prank?" she asked, genuinely bewildered. "Don't act naive," I retorted. "You told me about the clown to scare me, and you even involved a child in the prank." She stopped sipping her coffee and regarded me with a serious expression. "Explain from the beginning," she said, her tone devoid of any humor. I recounted the incident with Kyle during my routine rounds. As I finished, I looked at her, expecting an explanation. Instead, she stared at the table, her hands trembling slightly. Her face had turned noticeably pale since I began my story. Impatiently, I waited for her response, and when she finally spoke, her voice was grave. "The clown is real," she said, her words hanging heavy in the air. "You can ask anyone on the staff. It isn't a prank or a test for new workers. The clown is real, or as real as any ghost can be." "But a ghost?" I stuttered, taken aback. The very idea seemed preposterous. Ghosts were nothing more than products of imagination, designed to frighten children, weren't they? "Yes," Mackenzie replied, her voice steady but filled with a sense of deep-rooted concern. "I don't know how to properly explain it, but Mr. Jingles has been here since before I joined. No one knows who he is or where he came from. All I know is that he can be seen by children only. We've attempted to capture him on CCTV, but there's never any evidence of clowns in the footage. He visits patients randomly. We can't discern any pattern in his visitations. He talks to the children, makes them laugh, and then he leaves." "So he's just a friendly clown that entertains children while they're sick?" I asked, trying to grasp the situation. "A friendly ghost, perhaps?" Mackenzie nodded solemnly. "That's how it seems, but we always pray that no child ever sees that clown." "Why?" I questioned. My curiosity now mingled with a growing sense of dread. She took a deep breath, her eyes locking onto mine. Because every time Mr. Jingles pays a visit, a few days later, the child he interacted with passes away. But now that Mr. Jingles had made an appearance, specifically for Kyle, it took me a moment to understand what Mackenzie was saying. So, you're saying Kyle will die within a few days? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She nodded, her expression grave, eyes filled with a knowing sadness. Yes. You know, I almost believed your story, but now I know you're full of it, I said, my frustration boiling over. We just successfully removed his appendix. There's no real threat to his life. In fact, he's getting discharged today. Are you telling me a kid with no serious health problems will die within a couple days just because an imaginary clown visited him? That's ridiculous. Mackenzie stared at me in silence as I ranted. When I finished, she got up and left the room. Passing me, she said quietly, "You'll realize soon enough." I stood there for a minute, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling that gripped me. Eventually, I left the room to continue my work. Just to make sure, I visited Kyle's room again and checked in on him. He was doing perfectly fine and was eager to go home. At 3 p.m., he was discharged from the hospital. The next day, he was dead. His mother had gone to the supermarket for groceries while his dad was at work. Kevin was watching YouTube on his phone when she left. When she returned and called him to help with carrying in the groceries, he didn't answer. Worried, she went to his room. There, he lay on the bed, unresponsive. Despite her frantic efforts to revive him, he remained still. She called an ambulance, but it was too late. The paramedics declared that he was dead. I was beyond shocked when I heard the news. Kyle had been perfectly healthy when he left the hospital. I inquired about the cause of death, but apparently it was unknown. As I processed this information, I came across Mackenzie again. "From the look on your face, I guess you've heard about Kyle's death," she said, her tone heavy with sorrow. "I warned you this was going to happen, but you didn't believe me." I felt anger welling up inside me. It was as if she had somehow caused Kyle's death. If she hadn't told me about the clown, Kyle would still be alive. I was about to unleash my fury when I looked at her face. She wasn't trying to be mean. She was profoundly sad. Her voice trembled as she continued, "This is your first time, right? I've seen dozens of these deaths throughout my career. I was unable to stop them even when I knew about them, so I know how you're feeling." "Is there a way to stop him?" I asked, desperate for a solution. She shook her head solemnly. "No. If there was, why would I have kept it a secret? Why is this hospital still open? Why doesn't management close it if we can't stop the clown from killing these poor kids?" I demanded, my frustration and helplessness boiling over. "Because Mr. Jingles only appears in front of 3 or 4 children in a year," she explained, her voice weary. "This is one of the best children's hospitals in our country. We save thousands of lives every year. If we shut down, what will happen to them? Setting up a new hospital like this will take time, money, and there's no guarantee Mr. Jingles won't follow to the new hospital." I stood there for a while, the weight of Mackenzie's words sinking in. At 9:40, a resolve solidified within me. I decided then and there that I would follow her advice, no matter the cost. Years passed, and I threw myself into my work with unwavering determination. During the first 3 years of my career, Mr. Jingles appeared 26 times in front of children. Tragically, all 26 of them succumbed to their fate. The following 2 years, Mr. Jingles didn't appear at all. We dared to hope that he had left for good, that our nightmare was finally over. But all of our hopes shattered today. At 10:21 a.m., a horrifying reality unfolded. There were 293 patients in the hospital last night. Shockingly, he appeared in front of all of them. All of the patients from last night are dead. That afternoon, we received a new batch of patients, including a young girl named Lily. My mind was still reeling from the shocking reality that 293 lives had been claimed by Mr. Jingles. Despite the heavy burden of loss, I hoped fervently that Lily would somehow be spared from this grim fate. One evening, while passing by the children's ward, I heard soft laughter drifting through the corridors. Intrigued, I followed the sound, which led me to a softly lit room. There, I found Lily lying in bed, her face softly illuminated by the glow of a nightlight. "Are you okay, Lily? Is there someone in here with you?" I inquired, my voice barely audible, though I already had a suspicion of the answer. She turned to me, her eyes wide with wonder. "I met Mr. Jingles," she said, her voice filled with awe. "He told me not to be afraid, that he would take me to a place where there's no pain." A lump formed in my throat as I realized the gravity of her words. Lily was one of the unfortunate who had encountered Mr. Jingles, and it was clear that her time had come. "Hi, I'm Vincent. Our spooky season special is only 5 days away. Tune in to hear a few stories that we've got planned for Halloween. Here's a snippet of one of them. It's called Dinner with the Devil." With trembling hands, I pushed the door open and my worst fears were realized. The room beyond was a grisly scene, a makeshift butcher's shop. Hooks hung from the ceiling and tools of the trade were scattered across a blood-stained table. The floor was slick with gore. And then, I saw it. My friend Jake's backpack, discarded on the floor in a pool of crimson. Panic surged through me as I realized he was missing, and the pieces of the puzzle fell into place with horrifying clarity. I rushed back to the dining room, my voice trembling as I confronted the brothers. "Where is Jake?" I demanded, my eyes locked onto theirs. Isaac and Elijah exchanged a glance, their smiles faltering. "Jake had to leave unexpectedly," Isaac replied, his voice wavering. I knew they were lying, and panic gave way to fury. "Don't lie to me! I saw what's in that room. Where is he?" In an instant, the brothers' demeanor shifted. Their smiles twisted into malevolent grins, and their eyes gleamed with madness. It was as if a mask had been ripped away, revealing the true horrors that lurked beneath. "We don't take kindly to snoops," Elijah snarled, lunging toward me. I barely had time to react before the room erupted into chaos. My friends and I fought desperately against the brothers and their family, who had emerged from the shadows. It was a brutal struggle, and the farmhouse seemed to close in around us, trapping us in a nightmare.